Ladies, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am yours truly, the one and only brother Ricky, and I am happy to be with you all here this morning on P Stars Radio. Now, I know you guys have missed me quite a bit now, right? I know. But settle down, children. Settle down. I am here, and I am back. Now, for those of you who may or may not be aware, I wasn't able to come by to do one of my Tuesday shows, right? So I had some things that I had to take care of in regards to school. But hey, I'm finally here again. And I'm glad that I can be here, especially with you all that are watching. So, thanks for being here with me this morning. But you already know how this goes for Saturday. All of my Saturday shows are going to just be focused solely on sports. And right now we're tuning in to see what it's looking like so far for the NBA Finals. Now, before I get into that, I always want to start off by asking each and every single person that is watching or viewing the show, how are you doing so far? Right? How are you doing so far? How's your week been? How's life? Are you taking care of your mental, physical, and your spiritual health? Because make no mistake, these things are important, or at least they should be important to you, right? And I want to make sure everybody's doing the best that they can to manage these things as much as possible, right? And so I always like to offer solutions or advice as to what people can do or as to what you can do to manage your stress or your, mental, physical, or spiritual health as much as possible. And so I'm going to get this out of the way pretty fast. So solution number one, of course, is to go to God in prayer. Go to God in prayer. Ask Him for His assistance. Ask Him for His help. Because make no mistake, nothing can ever be done or accomplished without God. So make Him the first priority and the number one person that you go to first and foremost for absolutely everything, okay? So that's one. That's solution number one. Go to God in prayer. Solution number two is to, for some people it can be working out, right? That can be a solution to managing these things. For some it could be cleaning, cooking, reading a book, and another solution also could be to speak to somebody who you can ultimately trust or confide in, right? To speak about your, personal issues that you're having that is affecting your mental, physical, and your spiritual health, right? Speak to somebody who you can trust and make sure that that person is somebody that is ultimately someone that you are familiar with in regards to, your family members or close friends, so on and so forth. Okay, so again, these are the solutions that I can give to you, right, to help with the situation. There could be more. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe there isn't. But the most important thing is that you take these solutions and apply them into your daily life as much as possible, to help out with, again, your mental, physical, and your spiritual health. Because, again, these things are important to you. And, I want to make sure you're doing the best that you can to manage these things as much as possible. Because if nobody has let you know this by now, I want to be the first to let you know this, is that I care about you, and God cares about you, and God wants what's best for you, okay? So please, please, please take these things to heart and apply these things into your daily life, all right? So that is what I wanted to start off for you guys there. And so now, to the juicy stuff. All right. So, the NBA Finals. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached Game 7 of the NBA Finals between the OKC Thunders and the Indiana Pacers. Now, let me just say this, because I'm sure my predictions before the NBA Finals were the OKC Thunders would have taken the entire series on Game 5. I believe I made that prediction before the start of the NBA Finals. Now, this NBA Finals series, again, is nothing short of excitement, of interesting, and mind-blowing. Because the very first match of the series, of the NBA Finals, was something that took everybody by surprise. And make no mistake, it definitely took me by surprise. Because seeing how the very first match of the NBA Finals went in regards to the Indiana Pacers winning, that literally changed the whole projection, or the whole, not projection, the whole trajectory of the NBA Finals. Because what Tyrese Halliburton did the first matchup set the entire roadblock for what it would look like for the rest of the series. And so again, this series, this NBA Finals series, is again nothing short of crazy. And so now to think that we have reached Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Again, we haven't seen something like this ever since back in 2016 with the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Cavaliers. Now, for those of you who know me, I am a big Golden State Warriors fan, and what happened that year was nothing short of a tragedy. Man, was it a tragedy, because if you don't know, or if you have been living under a rock, the Golden State Warriors lost that year. We lost against the Cleveland Cavaliers with what Kyrie did. Man, I still have nightmares, bro. But what Kyrie did in Game 7, man, it hurts. Even me just talking about it. This hurts my soul how things turned out in 2016. But again, we ultimately lost that year going up against the Cavaliers. And so for this year, with the OKC Thunders going up against the Indiana Pacers, this right here kind of brings back memories. Because again, after 2016, 2017, all the way up to 2024, there were no Game 7s. There were no Game 7s in the NBA Finals. And just recently, the Boston Celtics defeating the Dallas Mavericks in last year's Finals. I think it went up to, if I'm not mistaken, Game 5. It was probably Game 5 or maybe Game 4, but I'm not. Excuse me, but I don't recall. But every game, every Finals, ever since 2016. None of them reached to a Game 7, but now for this year, we are at a go big or go home matchup. We are at a winner takes all matchup, which will be taking place tomorrow, Sunday, for a Game 7's match between the OKC Thunders and the Indiana Pacers. So listen, man, I genuinely predicted that the OKC Thunders would have taken it at a Game 5. But again, the Indiana Pacers has come to prove me wrong time and time again. And so Thursday's matchup between the OKC Thunders and the Indiana Pacers looked to be close to almost a blowout match, right? Which was only, 10, 15-point deficit match between the two. So the Indiana Pacers defeated the OKC Thunders Thursday with 108 and 91. And so that matchup, again, it seemed to be, or close to be, a blowout match between the two. And listen, the expectations, or were not the expectations, or the performance between the OKC Thunders going up against the Indiana Pacers was very, very, very short in terms of expectation. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I kept hearing, talks about Tyrese Halliburton potentially missing that match between the Indiana Pacers and the OKC Thunders. But ultimately that wasn't the case. I believe it was supposed to be due to an injury. It was supposed to be, I think, an injury that Tyrese Halliburton was potentially facing. I might be wrong here. But again, ultimately, Tyrese Halliburton played during that match between the OKC Thunders and the Indiana Pacers. But it was a very bad game, at least in my opinion, for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? Because if I recall, there was 8 turnovers in total for Shai. 8 turnovers. That right there is something that could easily cost any team, any player, any match in the series. Any team, any player, and any match is something that 8 turnovers can cost for anybody. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And ultimately, Shai learned his, well, or at least I definitely hope he learned his lesson for this matchup, because I think that is definitely what cost him, or what cost the entire team that match, and potentially winning this year's NBA Finals. So Shai's stats for that match was 31 minutes, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 21 points. 21 points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander during that matchup on Thursday. Jalen Williams, 27 minutes, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 16 points. And then you have Chet Holmgren. I don't even want to bring him up. I don't even want to bring up Chet Holmgren because I think the performance there was very, very, very low coming from him. 24 minutes for Chet, 6 rebounds, and 4 points. Again, those seem like very, very bad numbers, at least in my opinion. Terrible numbers, but that's just me. And then we have Isaiah Hartenstein, 16 minutes. I believe he's the other center for the OKC Thunders. 16 minutes, 4 rebounds, and 10 points, and 1 assist. So, again, the performance level for the Thunders at that game was not very much up to par. And then that compared to the Indiana Pacers, it seemed to be the case where more players are putting in enough points and enough of a performance to at least help the Indiana Pacers stay alive for one more game. One more game, because again, Game 7 is a go big or go home type of game, right? It is a winner takes all, and so both teams are literally hanging by a string of hope, should I say, or should I call it a string of hope? Again, in my opinion. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still putting my chips. I'm still putting all of my chips on the OKC Thunders taking it home. You guys might be indifferent to me, or you might be indifferent to my opinion, but again, listen, I think the OKC Thunders has what it takes. Listen, Indiana Pacers definitely has a chance too. Do not get me wrong here. Do not get me wrong. The Indiana Pacers, with the level of chemistry, I should say, that they have in that team, man, it wouldn't be a surprise if they won this year's NBA Finals. If they win this year's NBA Finals, granted, may the best team win, right? May the best team win. But if the Indiana Pacers won this Finals, it wouldn't be much of a surprise, because this team has a different kind of chemistry within themselves that they've had throughout the entirety of the regular season, right? So I'm not going to be surprised if they win. But again, my chips are going to be on the OKC Thunders. These guys have been balling the entire season, and I think it's going to go to them. That's just me. You guys might think different, but feel free to give me your opinions or your takes on who you think might win this year's championship on the comments. I am going live on YouTube, Facebook, and I'm going live on TikTok. It's my second live, I believe, going live on TikTok. So please feel free to let me know down in the comments who you guys think is going to take this year's NBA Finals championship. Again, I think it's going to be the OKC Thunders, but that's just me, all right? So moving on from that, I want to give you or before I do that, I also want to turn your attentions to the NBA draft, which will be taking place this upcoming Sunday. This year's NBA draft. And I'm only going to give you your top 5 prospects that will be potentially called for this year's draft. Now, for those of you, again, who may not be aware, the Dallas Mavericks are going to be the team that takes the number 1 draft for this year. Okay, so if you don't know, with the recent trade that has happened between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers, in terms of Luka Doncic being traded from the Mavs to the Los Angeles Lakers, everybody lost all kind of hope for the Mavericks organization. If I'm being honest with you, even I lost hope for the Dallas Mavericks organization. And I'm not even a Dallas Mavericks fan. Mind you, I am a Golden State Warriors fan, not a Mavericks fan. But even I felt bad for all of the fans of the Dallas Mavericks because I just for the life of me, I couldn't understand why the Dallas Mavericks would make a decision as to trade Luka Doncic. Now, some of you guys might feel indifferent to that. Some of you guys might see something that I'm not seeing. But I definitely think that that trade should not have happened because, again, the idea for me was they were supposed to build around, right? The idea was they were supposed to build around Luka Doncic. But considering what happened with the trade and them trading Luka Doncic, this number one pick for the Dallas Mavericks could be what you may consider a comeback for them, at least, right? Because, again, the Dallas Mavericks right now have Kyrie Irving, they have Klay Thompson, and they also have Anthony Davis. These are three of the veterans that they have for that team. And Kyrie Irving is supposed to be, he was suspected out for an injury. And Anthony Davis also was suspected out for an injury as well. So the only veteran that they had playing for the Mavericks was Klay Thompson. And so now, again, with this number one draft pick that they have secured for themselves for this year's NBA draft, this could ultimately end up being a turning point for the Mavs now that they have the number one pick for this year's draft. And so the number one pick, prospect, should I say, for this year's draft is Cooper Flagg, who is coming out of Duke University, playing as a small forward and a power forward. Now, again, for those of you who are living under a rock and who may not know who Cooper Flagg is again, one of the top prospects coming out of college. And this man is nothing short of a hooper. Cooper Flagg, in my opinion, is a certified hooper, at least in the college sense. And so I'm excited to see what this guy is going to be able to do coming into the league, playing in the summer league, and, playing into the regular season of the NBA. So, again, I'm excited, at least me personally, right? I'm excited to see what this guy's going to do. If he's going to be, fully recognized as a Dallas Mavericks come draft night. But that's what the Dallas Mavericks has going for them for the NBA draft. So, again, the number one pick or projected pick for the NBA draft going to the Dallas Mavericks is Cooper Flagg. Again, this is projected here. This is not final. These picks are not final. These are just people that are prospects going to these teams, right? So, again, Cooper Flagg is expected to be drafted by the Dallas Mavericks, and he's coming out of Duke University as a freshman. And then for the number 2 pick, which seems to be going to the San Antonio Spurs, is going to be going to Dylan Harper, who is coming out of Rutgers as a point guard and a shooting guard for coming out of Rutgers. And then the 3rd pick, which will be going to the Philadelphia 76ers, will be projected to go to VJ Edgecombe. Yes, VJ Edgecombe, who is a shooting guard coming out of Baylor University. And then for Charlotte, the number 4 pick, the Charlotte Hornets, the projected pick is going to Cone Knueppel, if I'm pronouncing the last name right, Cone Knueppel, who is a shooting guard and a small forward for Duke, or coming out of Duke as a freshman. And then finally, the 5th pick, which will be going to the Utah Jazz, the projected player will be, or could be, Trey Johnson, who is a shooting guard coming out of Texas. So those are your projected 5 picks for the NBA draft. Again, these aren't final. These are just players that are expected to go to said teams for the NBA draft. Again, these are the top 5 drafts, and again, I'm excited to see where Cooper Flagg will be going and what his performance is going to look like throughout the summer league and the regular season of the NBA. But that's what it's looking like so far for the NBA draft. Again, the NBA draft will be happening on Wednesday, the 25th. And so I, for one, will stay tuned to that. And I think you all should also stay tuned to that as well. I will give you your matchups for tonight for the WNBA. So tonight's or this afternoon's matchup will be between the Phoenix Mercury, who will be facing off against the Chicago Sky this afternoon at 1 p.m. And then tonight, we will have the Los Angeles Sparks, who will be taking on the Minnesota Lynx tonight at 8 p.m. So those are your matchups for today for the WNBA. And as per usual, I would like to leave off with a verse of the day. And this verse will be coming from Proverbs chapter 6, verses 20. Again, the verse will be coming from Proverbs chapter 6, verses 20. Proverbs chapitre 6, verset 20. Proverbs chapitre 6, verset 20. I will read for you. And the verse reads, My son, keep your father's command, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Again, it's a short verse. Please allow me to read that for you one more time. And the verse reads, My son, keep your father's command, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. M'bois li verset pour nous nan Creole tout. Verset li kon sa, Petit mwen, toujou fè sa, papa ou di pou fè. Pa jam bliye sa maman te moutwe ou. Bam li verset sa pou ankor, verset li kon sa, Petit mwen, toujou fè sa, papa ou di pou fè. Pa jam bliye sa maman te moutwe ou. So, the verse is self-explanatory. It's very, very simple, very, very straightforward. It's calling for the youth in general to remain obedient to your father and to not forget the teachings and the counsel of your mother. All in all, it's asking for the youth to continue to remain and to respect the authorities of the parents, right? We can all clearly see in modern times the level of respect that most children have for their parents, right? We can probably see this throughout, church, in the grocery stores. We see a lot of the times how a lot of the youth can be very disrespectful towards their elders, disrespectful towards their, parents, disrespectful towards authority. We can see this mostly happening in modern times, and it's very vital. It's very vital because a lot of the teaching and a lot of the learning for most of the youth starts at home, right? It starts in the home with the children and their parents. And so if the respect for authority and respect in general for parents cannot work in the home, then it definitely cannot work out in public and in society, right? Everything starts at home. And so it's very important that, you know, the children of today, the youth of today, you know, continue to hold respect and to take the respect for their parents seriously, because all in all, the parents want what's best for their children. That's nothing new, right? That's nothing new. It's nothing crazy, right? It's always been this way ever since the beginning of, you know, human history, is that the parents are always looking out for the best interest of the children. And so it is within the children's best interest to continue to follow the leadership of their parents and to continue to respect the leadership of their parents. Ultimately, respect the leadership of their parents. And so it's brought in the Bible every single time for children to obey their parents in the Lord, for it is right, and so that they can live a longer life on earth. Ça, c'est un bagay qui très important dans jeunesse yo, parce que m konnen nous tout ka wè dans société comment ti moun yo maltraiter parents yo. Yo pas respecter parents yo. Nou ka wè ça depuis ou passe na grocery store, là acheter manger, ou bien là sortir avec ti moun yo, ou passer tout côté avec ti moun yo, puis ou wè ki jan ti moun yo déspecter parents yo, ou bien yo déspecter la loi, ou bien l'autorité, yo déspecter moun ça, parce que tout bagay ça supposé commencer en dans la caille là. M'besoin pour tout comprendre ça m'a dit. Si ti moun yo pas ka respecter parents yo, ou pas respecter pièce moun dans société, ou pas respecter professeur yo, ou pas respecter la police, ou pas respecter la loi. So, li très important li très important pour toute jeunesse qui regarde sur live là, ou bien sur YouTube, ou bien sur Facebook. Li important pour nous comprendre ça. Bon Dieu mande nous pour respecter parents nous. Bon Dieu mande nous pour comme ça, pour marcher comme yon moun qui gen respect pour parents, et puis respect pour tête parole, parce que si ou pas gen respect pour moun, ou pas gen respect pour parents, maman ou bien papa, ou pas gen respect pour pièce moun. Et puis si ou pas gen respect pour pièce moun, pas gen moun qui va gen respect pour. OK, so tellement besoin tout le monde comprendre ça, tout le monde qui c'est jeunesse yo, respecter parents, respecter maman, respecter papa, et puis ou ba jeune respect nan men l'autre moun tout. Okay? Respect your elders, respect your parents. First and foremost, respect your parents, and you in turn will receive respect in like kind. Okay? So that's what I have for you for the verse so far, for the verse of the day. Again, the verse comes from Proverbs chapter 6, verses 20. Verset sorti dans Proverbs chapitre 6, verset 20. Read it, meditate on it, apply it into your life, and God will bless you in like kind. All right? I love you guys, and I will see you all here Tuesday. I will come back here again on Tuesday to talk about just random things in general, all right? So stay tuned for that. I love you guys, and I will see you